The moment her trembling hands hovered near the open safe, time seemed to freeze. The gleaming stacks of $100 bills, the sparkle of rare gemstones, and a golden wristwatch worth more than her entire life's earnings sat silently, daring her. The mansion was silent. The cameras were off, intentionally. And Mr. Elijah Grant, one of the coldest, loneliest CEOs in all of Manhattan, watched from a hidden corner, his heart racing not out of fear, but out of something far more complicated, hope. For the first time in years, he was testing something more valuable than any business model or market strategy, the soul of another human being. And what she did next would change his life forever. Before we dive into this emotional journey of betrayal, trust, and redemption, take a moment to support our mission here on Rappel of Hope. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the silent strength of the human spirit, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need healing. Now, let's continue. Elijah Grant was the kind of man headlines speculated about but few truly knew. The world painted him as a ruthless billionaire who climbed his way to the top on a ladder made of broken contracts and discarded partners. At 43, he sat at the helm of a financial empire, yet lived completely alone in a glass and steel mansion that overlooked the East River. No wife. No children. Just silence, broken occasionally by the chirp of business calls or the rare echo of his polished leather shoes down marble hallways. But beneath the Armani suits and detached glances, Elijah was a man torn apart by ghosts of betrayal. His childhood was riddled with abandonment, his father vanished when he was 7, and his mother, a kind-hearted nurse, died when he was just 18, leaving him penniless but determined. Over the years, he built walls, not just metaphorical ones, but actual layers of security and distance, meant to keep everyone out. After one too many personal assistants stole from him, and a trusted business partner embezzled millions, Elijah finally stopped trusting altogether. He had everything, except peace. Enter Rosa Alvarez, a 32-year-old single mother with tired eyes, warm hands, and a grace that carried pain silently. She was hired through a cleaning agency after Elijah's last maid was caught snooping through his drawers. Rosa had no fancy resume, just a quiet determination to provide for her daughter, Elena, a sickly 10-year-old who spent most of her days in a hospital bed. Rosa never spoke much unless spoken to. She cleaned with precision, never took long breaks, and always left the room smelling of lavender and fresh linens. Something about her stillness intrigued Elijah. She never tried to flatter him or overstep boundaries. In fact, she barely looked him in the eye. He watched her through security cameras sometimes, not out of suspicion, but curiosity. She never took more than she needed. Once, she found a $100 bill under a couch and neatly left it with a note. Found this while vacuuming. Might be yours. It planted a seed in Elijah's heart. Could someone still be honest just because they were? That was when the idea came. He left the safe in his study open, not cracked, not slightly ajar, but fully, completely open. Inside was nearly $200,000 in cash, a rare sapphire necklace, documents worth millions, and a small diary his mother had gifted him before she passed. Then, he turned off the cameras for exactly 1 hour and waited behind a wall panel designed for security surveillance. When Rosa entered the room, she paused. Her breath hitched when her eyes found the open safe. She set down her duster slowly, as if not believing what she was seeing. Her hands quivered, not from greed, but confusion. She looked around, then walked toward the safe. Elijah leaned forward from his hidden spot, pulse thudding. He didn't know what he wanted more, for her to prove everyone else wrong, or for his cynicism to be justified once again. Rosa knelt down and reached into the safe, not for the money, but for the framed photo of Elijah's mother that had slipped sideways. She gently wiped the dust off the glass and placed it upright. Then, she did something Elijah didn't expect. She clasped her hands, bowed her head, and whispered, "God, bless the soul of this woman. She must have loved her son very much." Elijah's throat tightened. Then Rosa stood, gently closed the safe door, and walked away. No money touched. No documents moved. She didn't even glance at the necklace. All she took from that room was dust. That night, Elijah couldn't sleep. Something inside him cracked. The next morning, he asked Rosa to sit down for breakfast, something he hadn't done with anyone in over a decade. She hesitated, confused, but obeyed. Over coffee and toast, he asked about her daughter. At first cautious, Rosa finally opened up. Elena had been born with a congenital heart defect. Her father left the moment they got the diagnosis. Rosa worked 3 jobs to keep up with the medical bills. Every penny she made went to treatment and transportation. She barely ate sometimes. But she never stole, never complained. Pain shouldn't be an excuse to lose yourself, she said simply. Elijah was speechless. That evening, without telling her, he called the best cardiologist in the country and paid for a full review of Elena's case. Within a week, a donor heart became available, and the surgery was scheduled. Rosa was in tears when she found out. She rushed to Elijah's office, sobbing and shaking. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this for us?" He looked at her and whispered, "Because you reminded me that there's still good in this world." Over the next few months, Elijah changed. He started leaving his office earlier, often visiting Elena at the hospital, bringing her coloring books, warm meals, even silly stories he wrote himself. The little girl adored him, and slowly, Elijah began to smile more, genuine smiles that softened the hard lines on his face. His staff noticed, too. The once unapproachable titan of finance now asked people how their families were. He laughed. He cried. He lived. Eventually, when Elena was well enough to walk again, Elijah surprised them with something extraordinary. He handed Rosa a set of keys to a new home, a cozy 2-bedroom house with a garden where Elena could play. "It's yours," he said. "No rent. No mortgage. Just a new beginning." Rosa cried as she hugged him. For the first time in years, Elijah felt like he wasn't alone. He didn't just save a child's life. They saved him, too. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Rapple of Hope. These stories remind us that trust, compassion, and simple human decency can still transform lives. Speech balloon. And now, before you leave, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you found that safe open? Would you pass the test? Or do you think the test itself says something about the one?